Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming. Many of you are my clients already. I know a lot of you guys out there, right? I've worked with many of you for years and years and years. So what's unique is the entire time I've been here at Quest, what's really happening, what's kind of gone along over the last few years, is we've seen a lot of people investing into what we're going to label as real estate. This could be people doing fix and flips, rentals, notes, multifamily, etc. But this last year, we've funded over $42 million in the last less than 6 months straight into the renewable energy source. So this could be oil and gas, this could be minerals, this could be hydro, this could be wind, this could be solar, and there's a clear need for all of this. So that's why we kind of wanted to host this panel. We brought in 3 very specific experts in this to really help kind of talk about that. Before we do, did everyone enjoy at least the food and the beer? Right? That is paid for by our sponsors. So we want to bring each one of them up here because they are actually the ones that paid for all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Keaton. And man, Keaton, you're going to kill me. I don't even know the name of your company, bro. Oh, you don't know the name of your company? So what I love about Keaton is actually when I started at Quest, he was my first actual supervisor. So he's the one who actually taught me a lot of my IRA knowledge that I had when I first came on board. So since then, you actually left, became an entrepreneur, started a very successful business now. And so I just want you to talk about it. Come stand in the middle because there's the camera. You want people online to see you.
Well, that's a great introduction. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
So everything that he's taught y'all, and if all that knowledge has brought you success, you're welcome. No, yeah, like he said, my name's Keaton. My partner is Tyler's in the back. We run a residential, commercial, all hands-on roofing company. We do it all, everything from, a $50 repair for a small leak to multi-million-dollar commercial projects. There's nothing that we won't say no to. There's nothing that we don't have enough time for. We have a huge crew. We have tons of knowledge with the insurance side on both residential and commercial real estate properties, how to get the money from them to, pay for the big jobs with the least amount out of your pocket. Anything, imaginative, different types of roof, whether it's metal, concrete, clay, shingles, TPO, all of it. We do everything. We've got crews specifically to do any type of job, repair any type of job. And then we do everything that we can to get you guys the best price at the best service and figure out whatever works in your budget. Any questions you may have, how to get things, prepared, how to know what to look for to, save yourself from a bigger expense for repair for something smaller before it, goes bad. We have expert, advice, answers. We've been in attics, big, tall building attics. We've been in, small crawl spaces, figured out, how to fix the small problems that turn into big problems that you don't see until you see those tea stains in your roof, right? Whenever things start to stain. But yeah, any other questions, anything specific, anything that you're looking into price-wise, trying to figure out if it's worth replacing the entire roof on a flip property, a rental property, whatever it may be, come talk to us. We've got all the answers, and we'd love to, help you guys out.
What's nice is I actually went and looked at a property this weekend. I was able to send him a message and his team a message, and they were able to respond fairly quickly with a quote just based off some pictures. So yeah, it's nice.
That's another thing that we do pride ourselves in being able to look at. If you send us a picture or, we're able to look at a roof from the ground or, be able to see a certain area and know how many squares it actually is, the measurement of, how roofs are measured. We can give you pretty much a ballpark price before we send you an invoice. Have to go home, wait for it, sign it and everything else. It's just, we've been in the game for a while. You see a lot of things and everything's pretty much the same in all buildings. So it's easy to help you out and have an idea of the price instead of waiting for your roofer to, reply to you in 2 days in an email or never call you back or, whatever they do. That too. Oh yeah. So again, name of the company, Everest Roofing Texas, www.everestroofingtexas.com. Again, my name is Keaton. This is Tyler. Again, any questions you guys have, feel free to come out to the company. Everest, like Mount Everest, Everest Roofing. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Keaton. Awesome. So the next sponsor we want to bring on up here is, I want to say my last 6 or 7 loans for any single family homes, whether it's been a personal property or an investment property, I've used them for every single one of these. So Ravi, are you coming up for Blink Lending? Awesome. So tell us what Blink Lending can offer for any real estate investors and how it's going to be going for them.
Yeah, absolutely. How's everyone doing? So yeah, my name is Ravi. I'm with Blink Lending and Investments.
Scoot over. The camera's right there. Yeah. They want you in the middle.
My coworker out there is Oscar Guzman. So we are a traditional mortgage lender. So we do all the traditional mortgages for your primary home, investment properties, refis, cash out refis. We're also a private money lender. So for any investors that are looking to fix and flip or buy and hold rehab properties, we also lend to that. We're a direct broker on the private money side. We can also do a lot of non-QM loans, so no income docs, bank statement loans, profit and loss, which is another bucket of money. And I think maybe the most important thing in this room is we also sell real estate notes, where we pay up to 8% interest. You're tied as first lien position on that property, and the note can be anywhere from 6 to 9 months to earn interest, annual interest income on that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, we'll be right outside.
Awesome.
Sure. www.blinklending.com. Thank you.
Awesome. So I got one other sponsor that I always put them on the spot just because I love them to death. So you know what's coming at them. I'm just going to hand you the mic. So what's funny is I never can provide tax, legal, investment advice, anything along those lines. I have to refer you to a CPA or a CPA firm. And so Quest, we actually do a lot of work here with Adam Barr. You'll see him speak at multiple our events, you know, just across the board, no matter where we're doing something, because your team, your firm, and you're now a partner of the firm as of a year or two ago, right? 2 years ago. Yep.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
So tell us a little bit and let everyone know what you can do and what your team can do for them. So.
Sure. Derek, as always, thank you for your kindness and generosity and your handsome good looks.
Yeah, thank you. I tried.
My name's Adam Barr. I'm a CPA here in the Houston area. I know a lot of you guys from past meetings and webinars and all sorts of stuff like that, I'm sure. So we're a local CPA firm in the Heights. We're about 65 people. We primarily concentrate on doing tax for businesses and for real estate as well. A lot of syndicated real estate. We do work on that as well. So if that's something you're involved in, let me know. I'm happy to chat about it. Happy to give you a second opinion on whatever you're doing right now and see if everything looks right and see if the price is right. Always happy to talk about that. And sort of another thing I do is I help out Quest clients with their UBTI and UDFI Form 990T filings for taxes in their IRA when their IRA makes certain types of investments. So if you think that might be you, please reach out. I'm always happy to answer questions. I just like explaining things. So always happy to help. And I'm sure they're going to plug it here in a minute, but I will be at the Quest Multifamily Summit next Saturday in Dallas, which is going to be a really cool event. So I hope you guys can make it out there for that. And I'm sure they've got an official plug here for it, but I'm doing my own first.
The plug's actually be at the end of it, but yes.
Yeah. And I'll see you guys around after the show. If you have any questions or want to talk tax, let me know.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. Yes, give him a round of applause, guys. That's the CPA. That's the one you guys, there it is. So without any further ado, I don't know what slides are up here, Kamea. If I have to click through them, I don't have a clicker. All right, so either someone click through them or something like that. But I'm going to introduce our speakers for today, right? And I'm going to go ahead and start with yourself, Christian. Now, Christian up here, the reason I actually handpicked, and you can ask our marketing team, each presenter we're going to have up here, and there's a reason why. Right, is at Quest, a lot of people are going to be using the retirement accounts to do investments. And as Adam mentioned, a lot of times when you hear people raising capital for some sort of investment, what ends up happening is you bring on UBIT or UDFI. Right? Has anyone ever heard that? Each one of these individuals you have coming up here today, any investments you guys do with them, it won't bring that on because of the way the deal is structured. So I love this aspect. Now for the first speaker, Christian, one of the unique things I love about him is he's ex-military. We were both in the Army, not together, but we were in the Army a piece. But he's actually probably the biggest family man in here. And I bring that up because he has built an entire legacy on teaching his kids at such an early and young age how to be a proper real estate investor. So I actually commend him so much on that. I got to do an apartment tour with him. And was that in San Antonio? Was that? Was it in Houston? Okay, yeah. So we did an apartment tour, and it was cool to see his kids come in and at a young age actually fully understand and comprehend everything that was going on. So Christian, why don't you come on up here? Everyone give him a big round of applause. Why don't you take the next 5 minutes, tell everyone kind of what your company does, what you go through, those type of things, and then we'll just kind of keep going, and then we'll have everyone ask you questions. So.
I always get nervous when people start clapping before I get up here because now I have to perform. So performance anxiety already. Greetings, everybody. My name is Christian Catron. I'm the president and CEO of a company called Redeem Investments. We're a real estate investment firm that specializes in really two verticals, if you will. The first is commercial real estate investing, and then the second is renewable energy projects. Within commercial real estate, we acquire value add multifamily. We're doing something really, really cool now called adaptive reuse, specifically of office buildings that, as you may, if you watch the news, the values of office has declined significantly. And so anyone who is looking to acquire office for the purpose of running it as a traditional office is really crazy. So run really fast away. We're buying office. We're not crazy. I think we are opportunistic. And so if we're able to buy it at a low basis, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and turn it into a Courtyard Marriott like we're doing in a small town north of Austin called Temple. And if we're turning it into a hybrid co-working space in partnership with the largest hybrid co-working operator in the world, and if we're turning into a multifamily asset, those are all great exit strategies that we're currently employing. On the renewable energy side, there are three different legs, if you will, there as well. The first is a renewable energy fund, whereby we function effectively as a hard money lender for solar, wind, and renewable energy developers. And so we issue loans at a rate of 15 to 18%, and we take a significant portion of that, 12%, and we provide that to our investors. And it's 12% per annum, and they get paid monthly via cash distributions. We've never missed a distribution since our inception in that fund. And so it's basically mailbox money for our investors. And so again, it's a 12% annual yield, which compared to the relatively low risk, it's really an asymmetric return for that type of investment. Those are secured by power purchase agreements and various other valuable instruments there as far as collateral is concerned. The second piece is we actually acquire land for the purpose of building utility scale solar farms as well. And the really cool thing about that is that we've negotiated arrangements with our developer partners in order to get comparable returns to our commercial real estate side of things. And so what does that mean? Over a 5-year time frame, we're still producing a 2x equity multiple, but we also are able to tap into the significant tax benefits that come from these types of investments in renewable energy. And then lastly, we recently partnered with the University of Texas to sell an eco-friendly pavement product to replace replace asphalt and concrete. So asphalt, as you all may know, is toxic. The sort of the base layer beneath the actual asphalt is made of kerosene, and so it is toxic to the environment. Concrete obviously is not climate friendly, and so our product is an eco-friendly replacement to asphalt and concrete, just as strong as concrete, but the most cost-effective. It's cheaper than concrete, it's cheaper than asphalt, and so it's a really great product and fits with our renewable energy portfolio. So that's what I do. I've been married for the newest member of our team is Aiden. So say hi to everybody, Aiden. So
Hi, Aiden.
Aiden, interestingly, like I was at 23, I got married the day before I turned 23. And so I've been married 22, going on 22 years now. I have a 17-year-old son who's going to be 18 soon, in about a month or so. And then my 14-year-old in 2 weeks will be 15, which is nuts to think about. My 17-year-old and my 14-year-old is this big. And so it's kind of nuts how that worked out. But yeah, I mean, my company being called Redeem Investments, as you can tell, there's sort of some spiritual, faith-based underlying tones there, which I'm proud to talk about. It's very important for me and my family and the values that we espouse, and really the way that we, no matter what you believe, I think everybody sort of recognizes that trying to be a good person is a good thing. And we try to live out those values every day. And so we're proud of that. Part of that is really what kind of life are we demonstrating for the next generation, and what are we teaching them? And so I think that's part of what Derek had the opportunity to observe when we went on a fishing trip to Galveston a couple of years ago. And my kids were there. I tried to bring them this time, but now they're working, and they've got other things. So at any rate,
the 17-year-old didn't want to come to a conference.
Yeah, no. But no, I sincerely appreciate the opportunity, Derek. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you to Quest. Many of our investors have had the privilege of being referred by us to you guys so that they can invest in our deals. And so it's just a great opportunity for folks to actually take control of their retirement account and how they go about investing those, as opposed to just being subjected to whatever the stock market may be doing. So it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Everyone give a big round of applause. Have a seat, and we're going to bring up the next one. Yeah. So the next person we're going to bring up here, I've known actually longer than anyone else that I've ever really worked with. So what's funny is I tried my own business adventure when I was like 18, 19 years old, and I failed miserably. All right, I really did. But what's funny is my friend Felipe here was there to back me up. And Felipe, I'm going to hand you this mic. So one of the best things about you, in all honesty, is he actually helped me get out of my comfort zone. He helped me learn that there's more than just trying to work a W-2 job. There's more that you can be an investor. And he has probably the biggest entrepreneur spirit out of anyone else in this room, and I can almost guarantee that. So in addition, he's now become actually a solar expert. And having to deal a lot with the solar side and the financing side for solar panels, in even understanding some of the government regulations and the credits that come along with it. So Felipe, you want to come on up here and talk a little bit about yourself and your company and what you guys are doing?
Awesome. How's everybody doing?
Everyone get a big round of applause.
I haven't been in front of a room in a really long time, so I'm a little nervous. Hope you guys could deal with it. But my name's Felipe. I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I'm married. I have 9 years married. I have a son that's going to be 8 years old in about next month. How I came to be here is literally I was in Arizona, and I prayed to God. I said, please take me away from this guy over here. And I'm just kidding. And anyways, no, to be honest, I started solar and I was doing solar for a long time, and probably started off doing kind of what you don't like seeing. So anybody ever had one of these things? Hello. I was that guy. And I would, exactly. I would traditionally knock about 12 to 15,000 doors a year for about 6 to 7 years in Arizona. And so, when people say, oh, it's hot outside, like, this is nothing. You know what I mean? The only reason I don't knock doors right now is because my phone can't handle it. It's not because I can't handle it. Your phone overheats after a while, right? But doing that industry and being in that industry, you become a homeowner in that industry. What I mean by a homeowner in that industry is when you're a homeowner, you know how your house should work. You know what should work and what shouldn't work and what the way things should do it. And when you look at things, you're like, that doesn't make sense. It should go like this. But whoever designed this obviously didn't live here. How many people have ever felt that before? That's the solar finance industry in a nutshell. It's comprised of people that have never sold solar, but just understand finance. And so there's a lot of things that are missing in the industry, and a lot of ways in which that they finance solar that they're really missing the mark. And so what we've done over the past about 12 months is really designing a program that works best for the whole group. The customer will get a better experience and a better technology touch. The investor will know exactly where their money's going, and they're essentially banking on the sun, right? And as a solar finance company, as a solar install company, there's a lot of, how can I explain it, junk in the industry. And what we tend to do is move that junk out of the way, because there's more than enough people doing it right to be able to kick out the people that are doing it wrong. And I always compare buying solar to buying a house or buying a car. But imagine you're buying a car and no one you've ever met has bought a car. You've only heard of people that have bought cars. So when it comes to asking those nitty gritty questions of, hey, how should this work? How should that work? How long's the warranty? How's the service? Should I work with the company who's installing it? Should I work with the company that's just selling it? You don't know who to talk to. And so we really comprise ourselves on those kind of situations where we really watch out for the customer to make sure they're in the right arena, that they're working with a company that's actually installing the solar, that's actually servicing the solar, that's actually communicating with them. And so there's just a lot of, don't get me wrong, I know we're all here to make money, and there's a lot of money there, easily. But the real thing that we bring to the table is the ability to be able to be a disruptor to what's going on in this industry right now. Because to be honest, like, this industry is crazy. I was just talking to someone earlier, and he literally put the nail on the head where it's like, it's the wild, wild west. There's very few regulations. And so really we see ourselves as a company that's for the people, by the people. Because at the end of the day, like, we know what customers are looking for because I've talked to 100,000 of them. We know what people are asking for because we talk to them every single day. We know what kind of things where an average person would look at it and say, like, That doesn't make sense. And for someone who's an expert in the industry, a lot of that stuff doesn't make sense to us either. We just kind of go with the flow because we're not making the rules, you know? And so what we're able to do here is really provide an opportunity for people to take advantage of that solar industry, make the money that the solar industry is not just doing now, but what it's doing over the next 5 to 10 years, but being a place that essentially you're banking on the sun. You know, I don't know if anybody's ever looked into solar before, but it's one of the lowest default rates when it comes to financing in the industry, because at the end of the day, it's an electricity bill. How many of you guys ever overlook your electricity bill?
Right.
It never happens. It's like a mortgage. So that's why I'm here. So I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Felipe. Bam. Like I said, I've known Felipe now for, I keep saying 20 years. It's not quite 20 years, but it's pretty close. So the last one is by far the smartest gentleman in the room. I told your wife I was going to embarrass you. So George here is actually a geologist, and what's unique is I actually have a lot of money as an individual currently invested with George and his team. So really, honestly, I got to meet you, well, your team about 3 or 4 years ago out in Dallas originally. And it has not only changed my life, but actually multiple of our clients' lives as well. And so why don't you come up here, and I'm not going to spoil too much for it, but just because you're the geologist, he's here to talk about minerals. So what the hell is a mineral? Why should we be doing it? And where do we invest, George?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, and so I'm going to make this quick because I want to get to the questions, right? That's going to be the fun part of this. So my wife is sitting over here to y'all's right, my left. We've been married for 32 years.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
All right. So here's the funny story, though. Okay. So we were in our mid-20s when we got married. We had gone through graduate school together, and she was smarter than I was, so she got out quicker. Anyway, so she agreed to marry me. And so we go to this little town in Louisiana where she's from to get our marriage license, right? I'm 26, she's 25. And it's a big room open like this, but like you can get the fishing license over here, or you can get your marriage license over there. If you need a new license plate, you go over there. Big open room. And so we go up there, we need a marriage license. And the lady looks at me, and she looks at Lori, and she looks at me again. She looks at Lori, and she says really loud, "Honey," to Lori, "Honey, if you're under 15, your mama's got to come up here and sign a piece of paper or you can get married." So she's my better half, and the prettiest one around. So anyway, so I work for Eckerd Land and Acquisitions. It's a Dallas-based, actually Allen-based Texas company. We buy producing oil and gas mineral rights. And we do that primarily in the Anadarko Basin of Oklahoma. We also do that in the Permian Basin out in West Texas. Okay. And so we buy oil and gas mineral rights, producing oil and gas mineral rights, and then we assemble them into what we call packages. And so Jeff can tell you here, he's invested in a number of those. David Bruckhouse is also an Eckerd Land and Acquisition representative with us tonight. And we assemble those into packages that then we offer to our partners. The great thing about that is Eckerd buys, secures the title, and pays for the land before any of our partners ever have an opportunity to invest in them. And so we are fully at risk before you ever get an opportunity to invest. If by some stroke you guys didn't want to invest in the mineral rights with us, then we would keep them all. And so that's how much we believe in what we do. We've invested in 83 different mineral portfolios over the last 5 years that we've partnered with various individuals like yourself. That's returned. There are currently 78 of those that are in pay status, 5 or 2 new, and so they've not yet come into pay status. But of those, if you invested in every one, good, bad, and ugly, you would be making almost 17% rate of return cash on cash every year. explain to you how oil and gas mineral rights is probably what I would consider the most passive investment you can get. Once you buy it, it's like real estate, only it's under the ground. Okay. You, as our partner, you get a deeded mineral ownership, just like if you own your house, you control the deed to it. And you will own that in perpetuity unless you decide to sell it. Okay. And so it's real ownership, you own it. And so, anyway, yeah, so that's what we do. And then we manage the investments, and then we distribute funds to Quest once a month. You guys get it in your account.
I actually did a Facebook video. I showed the, I don't know if you saw that. They actually have a separate mail truck for all the checks that you guys send us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you look on Facebook, you'll see me doing that.
Yeah.
So
our owner came up with this idea years ago. He's been running this company for more than 30 years. And that is, a check always comes in a green envelope. And so our partners, we call those who invest with us partners, because we really consider it a partnership. We consider you more than just an investor. We're after partners. Investors will come and go, but the ones that stay and invest in portfolio after portfolio, those are our partners. And those guys, like Derek was saying, those are the guys that have really realized this outsized return without any risk. And I say it's the most passive investment because once you invest in it, then there's no additional expense that goes to you. Okay, there's no risk associated with it. You have a 15% depletion allowance that you get every year as a small producer, and so 15% comes off the top. And it's not like, how many of you have ever heard of investing in oil and gas before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so the majority, when you think of that, you think of investing in working interest. That is where you own, where you pay a portion of the well, of the cost to drill the well. And because of that, the IRS considers that investment at risk. And so you have lots of things that you can do to defer that, that investment, the realization of that, or defer your taxes through that investment. But mineral rights, the IRS doesn't consider to be at risk. And so the money that you make through that is ordinary income. But that's a pretty telling thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your investment is not at risk. And so anyway, look forward to y'all's questions tonight.
Yeah, here, have a seat. We'll get started. Give them a big round of applause, guys. All right, so a couple housekeeping rules real quick. I have a big list of questions to ask these guys, but this is not for me. This is for you guys. Online, we have about 104, 105 people out there. So my moderators, you need to let me know if we have questions online for any one of these panelists. And I'm now going to embarrass you. You're so tall, they can't see Christian or Felipe. I need you to scoot over 2 chairs. I was trying to do it nonchalantly. And I was like, hey, and he's like, what, you want me to pass you your beer? I was trying to do it nonchalantly. It was really funny. So, yeah. All right, guys. So I always like to start off with a pretty standard question. If you guys have a question, I'm going to throw you this green cube. It's nice and soft. You're not going to break it. It doesn't matter what happens, but this is your microphone. Remember, we have over 100 people online, so you're using this so they can hear your questions as well, okay? So if you do ask a question, I will be throwing this your way. Adam, you're going to hold this for now. Thank you very much. So the first question, I'm just going to ask all the panelists, and I'll kind of let you guys choose, you know, hey, who wants to start? But if I invest in either one of you, what is it that keeps my money safe? Is there something extra that I know, like, hey, you guys aren't going to take my money and run away to Mexico or something like that? How is it that you guys can protect my best interest as an investor? Let's just go right down the line. We'll go Christian, Felipe, and we'll go to George last. Hey, a free beer.
So, yeah, I mean, we I don't know if this is on, but
Oh, press the button.
okay. Yeah, so like any private placement that is done properly, we work with a securities attorney to produce all the various offering documents that are required in order to fully legitimize the offering, right? And so that includes your private placement memorandum, operating agreement, the subscription agreements, all those things, whether it's a regulation 506, regulation D 506B, C, or what type of offering it may be. We work with the securities attorney to ensure that is fully buttoned up in the way it should be. We follow our Form D. You can go on the SEC website and look up our CIK number. We're not going anywhere. We're here for the long haul. So that's what I would say is just properly setting up offering documents and working with the appropriate attorneys to do exactly that.
Yeah. Felipe, anything to add to that?
Very similar to what he was saying as far as with the SEC attorney, but also we have a very transparent platform. When a solar project is funded, there's pictures taken, there's a website you could actually physically see the panels on the roof. I mean, if you wanted to drive down to Arizona and see them on the roof yourself, knock yourself out, but they're not going anywhere. So you could actually physically see what's going on, where they're at, how much they're producing, what the situation is. So it's not something where we're phantomly putting panels on the roof. You're actually seeing the result of your investment on someone's roof, what that customer's paying per month, how it all works out. So it's all something that's very transparent to the investor or partner.
Yeah. So at Eckerd, we go to great lengths to make sure that we are in the mineral, in the oil and gas mineral space, that we are the most transparent company that you could ever invest with. We do that through several methods. I mean, not only do we have the kind of paperwork that was spoken about here in terms of how your money flows and the accountability that you're able to reference from that. But then the other things that we do is, so we developed an in-house and working with a lot of programmers across the world, developed the Eckerd Insight app. And so all of our partners are able to look at their investments on a real-time basis. It scrapes data from all the reporting agencies that our wells flow into, all the taxing authorities, and you get a snapshot of that for every single well that you own every day. It's online right now, and we do that because we want our partners to take an active interest in what they're investing in. And so, and the other thing we do, I guess I'd say finally, is we take field trips. We have lots of fun trips. And so we actually go out and take our partners out and let them see their wells. Let them see how well completion works, how drilling of a well works, how production of it works, how the molecules flow and ultimately get monetized. And so it helps our partners to be able to sort of bring the whole
Visualize
investment into space.
Helps them visualize it. Yeah. So, Jeff, I saw you had a question. Get ready to catch. Kaboom.
All right. I just wanted to hold it, test it. My question, Felipe, in regards to solar, it seems like, every time you go in the Home Depot or some other place, you're just Costco, you get kind of accosted by people wanting to sell you solar. And I don't know. I've heard of stories, of people who put these things on their house and made a big investment, $50,000, $60,000, and it sort of becomes an issue when you go to sell the house, or it can, and I wondered if you had any thoughts on that. Okay. And I was also curious about, do people sustain damage to the panels on the roof at times, and how does the remediation work for that?
Use the mic. Mic. Boop, boop, boop.
So to answer your question regarding the first question, a lot of that deals with the people that are selling the solar. Just to be honest with everybody, most salespeople, and I'm sure you could probably relate across industries, may not always look for the best interest of the customer. I know that might not be shocking to everybody in the room, right? But they're just not. And so that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, as far as like, if the customer needs X, don't sell them Y, because most people sell solar to hustle up some money. I need to hustle up some money, make some money, pay my bills. I'm not looking to hustle up money. I'm looking to build a business. And when you're looking to build a business, your reputation and what that customer says to because they're going to talk to all their neighbors. It's without a doubt, every one of their neighbor that's within eye view of those solar panels are going to ask that homeowner, how's it going? And what do you want them to say? Do you want them to say your story of, these damn things, they don't even do what I said they're going to do? Or do you want to say, man, it's been awesome. The service has been great. I got exactly what I thought I was going to get. So a lot of that has to do with A, who's installing it, and B, who's servicing it. Because the biggest challenge you'll see in the marketplace is a third-party installation company. I was talking to someone earlier about it. A third-party installation company is, in some situations, not all situations, but in some situations can be a customer's nightmare. So what should take days to fix takes months. And those months that you're waiting, you're without solar energy, which means you're paying the utility company for all the energy instead of the solar company. So that's a challenge that's in the industry. One of the other things regarding your question, as far as your second question, most of the panels out there and all the panels that we will actually fund, and we don't fund all projects. You have to be an installer of your product, meaning if you're just selling it, but then you have a completely separate company installing it, we don't want to do business with you. And if you're not working with our list of pre-approved products that have the longest warranties, that have the biggest, they're a big company, they're end phase, they're not no phase. Who's no phase? No one knows who they are, right? But someone will sell it to you. You know what I mean? End phase, they're $1 billion company on the stock exchange. The difference is, I've heard of it, but most solar customers don't. Most people that I'm meeting with, if I told them, hey, we got you no phase inverters, they'd be like, awesome, that's great, because they don't know the difference. And so really understanding what's the right thing for the customer and giving them the right product from day one gets rid of a lot of that junk in between. When you get rid of a lot of the people that are just trying to hustle up some money, and you get people in place that are actually trying to build a business, you have people that actually care about their customers, because their customers are their biggest spokesperson.
Yeah.
Sorry. To come back to my question.
Sure.
Just to clarify.
And then I got a question for you, Christian.
So when it comes to, and I don't want to spend too much time, I'm sure there's many others, but when it comes to selling a house, can they become a problem? Like maybe, hey, I'm buying your house, I'm not buying your solar panels, even though you've got a loan on them.
Great question. So what you'll typically find with solar when selling a house, when it's on the front of the house. So I walk up to the front door and the solar is right on the front of the house. So they call it the curb appeal of the home. You're right. There's some people, and I meet them every day, they just don't like the way solar panels look. I'm not there to convince you that solar panels are beautiful. So that's a situation. Most solar panels that I sell are on the back of the house. So I'll knock on a door or talk to somebody where the front of their house is facing north and their back of the house is facing south. So it's a problem that they never have to come across. So that's typically a challenge. The other challenge is when some people finance their solar, they finance it with what's called an escalating lease. So that lease, let's say the payment starts at $100, will increase from anywhere from 2 to 11% a year for 25 years. So you've lived in the house for 8 years, and they gave you a great rate because it started off low. So you enjoyed an amazing rate. But now you're selling the house 8 years later. You got 15 years left on this lease. Well, who's going to want to buy that knows how to do math? And so all our leases are fixed. You know what I mean? I've in 8 years, 600 houses that I put solar on, I've never sold a non-fixed lease in my life, just because I'm not a jerk. You know what I mean?
Hey, so Christian, real quick, and I know you had a question as well. I just wanted to ask a question to Christian real fast, because I know you have a couple of different projects going on right now from, you doing multifamily and those type of things as well. But on the wind side, I lived in Kansas for a long period of time. I was in the Army. That's where I was stationed, was Fort Riley. So when I think of someone investing in wind, I just see the big wind turbine somewhere out there in Kansas. But that's not always necessarily the case. So can you describe to me real quick, if someone wanted to invest in with you on that wind aspect, or if you're because you are accepting subscriptions right now, correct? Yeah.
We are.
Yeah. So what does that kind of look like?
Wind specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think renewable energy projects, in my opinion, are real estate.
Okay.
Right? Because you're building.
And I'm saying wind, and that's probably a better terminology if I were to use the renewable energy term, because I think that's how most of your projects work, correct?
Sure. Yeah. So same answer to the altered
Yeah.
question. I think ultimately, when you're talking about any real estate project, it always comes down to location. I think with regards to wind or solar, it's all about the location as well, right? Because you can have engineers that conduct wind studies to determine, well, where do you have the highest velocity and sustained wind that would be suitable for a wind project per se.
Mhm.
Similarly, in fact, with regards to solar, I recently toured about 2,500 acres of land in Southern California, right near the Salton Sea, for what was going to be anywhere between a 400 to 600 megawatt solar project, which is huge. And ultimately, part of what we found was that because of the number of solar days, so the intensity of the sun, how long the sun shines during the day, as opposed to sort of closer to the North Pole in Minnesota somewhere, this was an ideal location for this type of a project. Not only that, there were various different components to the municipalities that allowed this specific area to be very appealing, especially with regards to the Inflation Reduction Act and some of the different.
Is that why you changed from multifamily to the renewable energy? Like, I think you still do multifamily, obviously, but is that why you made such a big shift?
I think what we found is that whether you're talking about multifamily or commercial real estate in general, the convergence between energy and real estate is sort of coming to a head in terms of how important energy plays a role in America and really the world. And just as a case in point, in 2023, renewable energy production surpassed conventional energy in Europe for the first time. And I think that's timely and relevant in light of things going on with the war in Ukraine and in an effort to help reduce Europe's reliance on Russian energy, right? And so it's a big thing. Not only that, wholesale prices of gas and electricity increased by 15 times since 2021 in Europe. And so imagine having a $100 light bill or an electric bill that now you're paying $1,500 a month. That's crazy. So when I went to, and things on the U.S. soil, depending on where you are, aren't that far different. I went to visit my mom in San Diego during that same trip where I toured 2,500 acres. And she informed me that her electricity bill went from $300 per month upwards to $1,100 per month. And so it's one of these things where I think renewable energy is one component of an array of solutions.
Sure.
I think oil and gas, fossil fuel is going to have sort of a sustained component there. But I think increasingly it seems like renewable energy and various alternative types of energy sources are becoming more and more prevalent in order to support the demand and the capacity and the growth required in order to sustain, our consumption.
Right on. Young lady, I know you had a question.
For Christian.
Wait, yell into the box.
It's for Christian. Oh, there is a microphone.
Yeah, there really is. There really is a microphone in there, I promise.
I like to participate. You teased us at the end of your intro that you have a product to replace toxic asphalt and concrete with a stronger but cheaper product. Can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, so typically when the iPhone came out, nobody expected it with all of its technology to be cheaper than a flip phone, right? So it is sort of not intuitive that a new product, a new entrant into the marketplace that is disruptive to asphalt and concrete would be cheaper, but it in fact is. So I can't recall if I mentioned this at the beginning, but this is a product called TerraPave that
Can you spell it?
TerraPave. It was invented by a gentleman named Dr. Yetkin, who's a professor at the University of Texas in Austin. UT Austin holds the patent to this product. It's sold around the world. TxDOT makes use of it. However, they don't tell us exactly where it's being utilized, in part because all U.S. roadways require some asphalt in the majority of places. If it's a private road, that's not the case. But this is a great product that we're finding for communities that are espousing this whole eco-friendly mantra. Aiden, you didn't come with me, but I toured a site that was 140 acres that have these really cool pods that are grouped together to form a house. And they're effectively planning to be completely off the grid. They want eco-friendly everything. And so it would be counterintuitive to have asphalt roadways that are toxic all throughout this community. And so it's just a great opportunity for us to provide them something that is in alignment with what they're seeking. And so, yes, it is true. Tests have been conducted to measure the strength and durability of the product. It's comparable to concrete.
We can invest in it now.
So
She asked if you can invest in that now.
what
Careful,
we're-
remember, so Quest, we can't provide investment advice or
Yeah,
endorse
no.
products. So careful how you answer this question. I'd say hit them up afterwards, if that's
Well,
okay.
there's a straight answer to that. We're selling the product to developers, to via government contracts and folks that need that. There's a type of the product that is called Albedo White, which we put out on solar farms that has the same reflectivity as snow to help increase capacity or to increase production. And so we're selling the product in partnership with the University of Texas, as opposed to making it available for investment. But I mentioned it because it fits within our eco-friendly sort of portfolio. And it is something that we're effectively requiring our solar and wind developer borrowers to implement and use on their projects. So
Cool.
thank you.
Ooh, good throw. Bad catch. You can tell I was the skinny guy that didn't play football. All right, we got a question there in the back. Catch. Woohoo. See, man, it's easy to be a moderator. I get to drink beer and just make silly noises.
Okay, this question is for George. I wanted to know what's the maximum, just kidding, what's the minimum you can invest with your business?
Let's see. So, David, you might.
Wait, talk to the mic, George.
Okay. Sorry. So, David, what's the minimum investment that a client can make into?
Yeah, so great question. Our minimum investment for newer partners is going to be $50,000, but we can spread that amongst several portfolios.
Good question. I did get a question online about
And
being
it-
accredited.
Yes, this investment is for accredited individuals only.
Yeah. And so I did get a question about accredited investors. For all three of you guys up here, you only accept accredited investors. Is that correct?
That is correct.
For the fund,
Yeah.
for our renewable energy fund, which is open and available now, it is only for accredited investors.
Okay.
However, we have other investment offerings that are for accredited investors, but then also can accept non-accredited investors depending on what our nature of our
Relationship is.
is.
Sure. 506B. And then Felipe?
Yes, we only accept accredited.
Okay, so Felipe's yes to the only accredited. Good job. Whoop. Bam. Any other questions coming from online, Kamea, too? Okay, we're good. Go ahead.
This question is for George. You said that there's about a 17% return, but a 15% depreciation allowance. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. So Adam could actually explain this really well, but for small producers in the small producers of oil and gas, and you would take some of your income from that oil and gas, that there's a 15% depletion allowance that the IRS allows the individual to take. Is there?
Yeah, it's basically you get a tax deduction against the income that you're making from that investment. So you get like 15% of that taxable income off as a deduction, basically.
So
they're
saying the oil that's in the ground is being depleted. Is that what
Yeah, I mean, that's the theory, but I don't know how much that really relates to reality. But the point is that basically 15% of whatever you make, you get a deduction for. So you're really only paying tax on 85% of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like depreciating any other kind of investment.
Yeah. So I always like to think about it because I do own rental properties. when I own a rental property, I get to claim depreciation, right? Well, there's no property to physically own like that on a mineral deal. So that's why you get, I think, the depletion. And I guess that's how I related to it. I'm completely.
Really? No, no, you don't.
Yeah,
not on
I'll
a
see.
not on a royalty interest in oil and gas. No, on an investment in a rental property that you're depreciating, you would. But
Repeat your
basically-
question so people online could hear, Adam.
I said that you have to pay it back. The depreciation allowance, you have to pay it back.
Yeah. So when you sell a piece of real estate, you have to basically recapture that depreciation as gain. But when you sell an oil and gas invest, like a royalty interest, you wouldn't have that because it doesn't reduce your basis in the investment. I don't think. And basically, that just means that the oil and gas industry has really good lobbyists in Congress.
Isn't it great having a CPA here? So, any other questions? Otherwise, I got my list. Bueller. All right. So, I like this one right here. So, this all has to do with government regulations and stuff like that. Are any of you guys worried about the government regulating you too heavily or something like that? And I think that would actually probably apply most to you, George, because I feel like the oil and gas sector probably has the biggest negativity aspect.
We're the most unloved.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Whereas, like
Yeah.
Felipe, I'm sure you probably get a lot of love from the government right now.
They're loving us right now.
Mike.
They are loving us right now. Correct. We
Okay.
are. We
Yeah.
are. So I don't mean to jump in, but there's a lot that has happened with solar renewable energy in the last year. I don't know if you guys saw the Inflation Reduction Act that happened at the end. It extended the 30% federal tax credit that went with solar till 2032. They also, a lot of people that don't read the tax code, if you read it, part of that also includes nonprofits that was not available before. So if you're a nonprofit that owns the building that you're doing business in, the government will send you a 30% federal tax rebate check on the price of the solar, and only nonprofits qualify for something like that. Everyone else has to get a tax credit. Well, for a nonprofit, a tax credit is useless. So they get a rebate. So those are things that the government has recently done to really just promote more solar in the market. At the end of the day, we're still only 5% of all the energy used in the United States. So we have a long way to go.
Yep. Oh, you mind if I add that real
Yeah,
quick,
go
George?
ahead,
So speaking of the Inflation Reduction Act and regulation, in addition to this 30% that Felipe is talking about, there were also something called adders that were included. And so what that means is, depending on a couple of different attributes, for example, if you as a developer are working in a certain identified geographical area that might be considered an energy community, there's a 10% adder. If you're a minority developer, there's another 10% adder. If you're making use of local labor and you're doing apprenticeships, there's another adder. So effectively, you could have up to 60% of a tax credit based on that project. And what that means is, for example, again, going back to that project in California, the project cost for that was upwards to $500 million. That project alone was expected to yield about $200 million of available tax credits. That's kind of big. And so part of the benefit of our role as a capital partner to that developer was that we negotiated a deal whereby our company and the investors that we brought to acquire the land would have first access or first rights to purchasing a portion of that tax credit before they do what they typically do, which is sell it to US Bank or some insurance company, because they have a sizable amount of tax, a hunger for tax credits themselves. And so that was a very important and interesting structure that we were able to coordinate there. But yes, this Inflation Reduction Act has been very helpful, and solar renewable energy is getting a lot of love from the government right now.
George, why does everyone hate you?
Right. Everybody hates us, right? Isn't that the truth? No, that's not true. It's not true. Fossil fuels, let's just talk about what is, right? Fossil fuels make up almost 80% of the base capacity of electricity and power in the U.S. And you guys know oil and gas has has come under scrutiny. It seems like every other president is vowing to do away with it, and every other one is vowing that it's the greatest thing. But so Eckerd, I want to say Eckerd is a different kind of a company. Okay, we are composed of oil and gas professionals, right? I mean, we have engineers and geoscientists and landmen and folks like that. And so we study every aspect of the investment in an effort to reduce the risk of any investment you make. And one of those things that we consider is geopolitical. And so because of that, we invest in the two most producer-friendly states in the country. That is Oklahoma and that's Texas. And why do we do that? Because the largest tax revenue based generator in both of those states is oil and gas. And they, as you've also noticed, being Texans, we're happy to operate independently and very independently minded, right? I mean, that's the way we are, and that's the same way Oklahoma is. It is oil and gas is the last. It is the thing that's going to be defended at all cost, and private mineral ownership that you have in Oklahoma and Texas is really it makes the investment. We feel like it eliminates any risk of geopolitical issues, including any kind of government intervention. We stay on private fee minerals where the states have jurisdiction, and we feel like that eliminates any risk. We also do, like I said, we try and treat every investment holistically, and so our real power is understanding what minerals are going to be developed by operators. And because this was really the genius of Troy Eckerd, our founder, in that he said, if we can stand up a technical team that understands where oil and gas is going to be developed, then we have a chance for arbitrage. We have a chance to buy at a low number and realize a really outsized return. And that's exactly what we've done. That's why we have over 1,300 accredited investors as partners in our company now. We started about 4.5 years ago with just a few. So
I try my best not to keep people here past really 8 o'clock. So everyone will be here so you can ask some questions outside of this platform, stuff like that. And I don't want to keep people online for too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick close. And I just want each one of you to kind of give me an ending statement, how people can either get a hold of you, maybe one last final thought or something like that. And George, you're the closest one to me. We'll start with you. We'll go to Felipe and with you, Christian.
All right. So you see the ugly guy in the middle, the picture up here. Okay. And you see. Sorry about that.
I was like, wow, he just called me out.
Sorry. It was a situational issue, right? You understand? I was looking at the ugly guy back here on that picture. Okay. All right. Anyway, my email address.
Probably would have been
is on
smarter if
there.
we had you guys sit that way. So
Feel free to reach out there. We have a really cool website at Eckerd Land and Acquisition, and so you can go there, find out all about our investments. Some of the guys that are partners with us know that Troy, our founder and CEO, is a prolific communicator. Right? Is that an understatement?
I get like 3 emails a day from him.
Right,
I'm like,
exactly.
dude.
Right. 3 Zooms a day, right? I mean, he's just a cup of coffee and he goes. So anyway, you can reach us there. So
Felipe.
I'm the ugly guy in the middle. No, but really at the end of the day, when it comes down to what drives me every day to push this thing forward is waking up every day and being burnt by that doggone sun. Because every day I see that sun and every day it's burning me and burning roofs and burning everything around us and taking apart our patio furniture and everything like that, right? And anybody that ever had patio furniture knows what I'm talking about. That could be energy. That could be money. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're not trying to do something that's not done hundreds of times every single day. We're just trying to be bigger, better. We're trying to offer a better service at a better rate for people that really need it, because solar is at that point right now where it's really becoming more mainstream. Wherever you guys live right now, wherever it happens to be, I can guarantee you probably saw solar installed in your neighborhood in the last 60 to 90 days. It's just the way it goes. And it's more and more every day. And so to be able to be at the forefront of that and be able to invest in that, I mean, the industry, like I said, even though we're probably only going to be 10 or 15% of the total capacity of energy 5 to 10 years from now, 10% of the energy industry is ginormous. So that's what makes me excited and keeps me excited about what we do every single day.
Christian?
You see the good-looking guy at the end? Speaking of George, I liked this idea of calling your investors partners. At Redeem Investments, we do something similar. We call our investors redeemers, and so you sort of see the correlation there. I think the thing that I want to end with is that, as I mentioned earlier, the convergence between energy and real estate is sort of has come to a head in a lot of ways. So much so that all of the projects that we're doing on a go-forward basis involves some conversion of that building site to a carbon neutral smart building. And so we're installing all of the renewable energy components, not just solar roofs, but HVAC systems, energy storage, all those things that allow it to be self-sustaining and sort of off the grid. We're still connected to the grid, in part because the excess energy that is produced can be sold to the grid, and that's yet another income stream to our investors. But the point being is that we see the value, and it's highly supported, again, by regulation. In fact, I was at a conference recently where Jigar Shah, who's the head of the the Department of Energy's loan program, is highly supporting conversion of commercial rooftops to solar and microgrids. And so that's effectively part of what we're doing. And our investment fund right now issues loans for developers, both solar, wind, et cetera. And so should anybody be interested in that, please look me up. Our marketing investor relations person's email is up there, is Ashton at Redeem Investments. You can also contact me at Christian at Redeem Investments. We'd be happy to help. Thank you.
So yeah, give them a big round of applause, guys. Don't go anywhere yet, y'all. So if you come to our events very often, right, I actually don't host very many of them anymore. I don't work a lot of them. We actually have a very large team here now at Quest. We have well over 100 employees, and we've been growing so drastically. It's actually been really nice for me. I've been able to take a step back, and I don't have to work these evening events anymore, you know? And I actually wanted to do this one because I have the utmost respect for all three of these gentlemen up here. I really, really do. When we were putting this together, I literally, and I'm not exaggerating, I handpicked each one of them and texted each one of them saying, hey, I want you to come and I want you to do this. So make sure you take what they're saying seriously, get their information, reach out to them. And if you have questions, you can always ask me as well. Last thing is, don't forget about our multifamily summit coming up in Dallas next week. Is that correct, Kamea? Next Saturday. Yep, on the 12th. I'm going deaf. Yeah, we're going to say the 12th, whatever next Saturday is. So, and with that, hey, look, Adam, look at that. There's you. Look at that. One more big round of applause for our speakers. Make sure you get their contact info. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Bye, everyone online. Woo-hoo.